My name is Carrie T. Sandoval, and I was already working full-time in IT when the relationship that changed everything in my life began. I used to believe love meant staying through the uncomfortable parts. I thought loyalty mattered more than pride, that when you truly loved someone, you didn't walk away, simply because things became messy. That philosophy works beautifully when two people are playing the same game. Caleb and I weren't. I met him 3 years ago at a networking event I hadn't even planned to attend. A friend practically dragged me there. I'm quiet by nature, more comfortable fixing technical problems than working a room full of strangers. Caleb was the opposite. He was magnetic. Loud without seeming obnoxious, effortlessly charming, always standing at the center of whatever group was laughing hardest. I was honestly surprised when he noticed me. "You actually listen when people talk," he said that night. "That's apparently rare? More than you'd think." We started dating a few weeks later. Before long, I was completely invested. When Caleb wanted to leave retail and find his first marketing job, I rewrote sections of his resume and spent nights practicing interview questions with him. When he finally quit before securing anything permanent, I covered most of the rent: groceries, Uber rides, late-night food, bills. I didn't resent any of it. I believed in him. Caleb wanted to build a social media consultancy eventually, so I bought his domain, built him a basic website, configured the hosting, and handled the SEO. I thought we were building something together. Then, little things started changing. His phone began staying face down whenever we ate. He laughed at texts he wouldn't explain. After-work drinks became weekly disappearances until 1 or 2 in the morning. Whenever I questioned it, Caleb reacted like I had insulted him. "I'm not doing anything wrong, Carrie." "I didn't say you were." "You're acting like it." Then came the phrase that shut me down every time. "You're smothering me." So I backed off. Maybe I was insecure. Maybe I was too predictable for him. His friends certainly seemed to think so. They liked louder women, flashier women, women with expensive cars, massive social media followings, crypto opinions, gym selfies, and the kind of confidence that filled every room before they entered it. I was saving for a house. Apparently that was hilarious. Caleb never defended me when they joked. He laughed with them. Then Erin started appearing more often. She worked with him. Stylish, outgoing, endlessly photographed. Whenever I asked about her, Caleb smiled. "Erin is just fun. Don't make it weird." But the later he stayed out with coworkers, the less affection existed between us. Our intimacy disappeared. Every question irritated him. Every conversation felt like I was interrupting something more interesting. And still, I stayed. Because I loved him. Or maybe I loved the version of him I kept trying to recover. Everything finally cracked at a house party Erin hosted. Caleb called it casual. "Come if you want." That sentence bothered me. Not "please come." Not "I want you there." Come if you want. So I went. The house was packed with 20-something marketing people, gym types, influencers, loud music, bathroom selfies, and drinks I couldn't identify. I stood near the kitchen holding one drink for almost an hour. Then I heard Caleb laughing. I moved closer. He was talking with 2 friends, including Lexi, who had never hidden the fact that she thought I was painfully boring. They couldn't see me from where I stood beside the refrigerator. Then Caleb said the sentence that ended everything. "Carrie, please. Why would I choose her when I can have Erin and still keep Carrie around for security?" His friends burst out laughing. Lexi nearly spilled her drink. Caleb grinned. "She's basically my emotional support dog. Loyal, stable, low maintenance." I stared at the floor. My stomach turned. I didn't interrupt them. I didn't throw my drink. I didn't confront Erin. I simply walked out. Caleb came home around 3 in the morning, drunk enough that he barely noticed me. "Crazy night," he mumbled. Then he drank some water and collapsed into bed. The next morning, I asked one question. "Do you remember what you said about me?" He blinked. "What are you talking about?" I repeated every word. He didn't deny it. He shrugged. "Okay. Maybe I said some stupid stuff. I was drunk." You're seriously making this a big deal? I looked at the man I had supported for 3 years, and something inside me finally stopped trying to save him. All right, I said quietly. I hear you. He thought the conversation was over. He had no idea I meant the relationship. For the next 2 days, I barely spoke. Caleb seemed completely comfortable with that. He went to brunch with friends, posted stories of cocktails and sunglasses, laughed at messages on his phone, and moved around the apartment like nothing had happened. That hurt more than I expected. Not because I wanted some dramatic apology. I just wanted evidence that humiliating me bothered him even a little. There wasn't any. By Wednesday night, I understood. He hadn't made one drunken mistake. He had simply said out loud what he had been living for months. He came home late again while I was sitting on the couch reviewing the lease from the apartment I had rented before we moved in together. He dropped his keys onto the counter. Aaron's boss is unbelievable. We were stuck at work until 9 because he wanted some pointless debrief. I didn't answer. Caleb kicked off his shoes and walked toward the bedroom. Then he stopped. Okay, what is this weird vibe? I looked up. What vibe? You're still mad about that party? I'm not mad. He laughed once. Sure. I just finally heard you clearly. His face tightened. Carrie, I told you, I was drunk. You told your friends you wanted Aaron and me at the same time. I was venting. You called me your emotional support dog. Oh my God. He rolled his eyes. You're acting like I cheated. I stood. Then I walked into the bedroom and pulled my backpack from the closet. Caleb followed me. What are you doing? Packing. For where? For good. For a second, he genuinely looked surprised. Then he laughed. You're seriously leaving over this? I folded shirts into the bag. No. Then what? I'm leaving because you meant it. His expression changed. You don't know what I meant. I finally do. That frightened him more than yelling would have. He started pacing. Everyone says stupid things to friends. I zipped the bag. You didn't sound stupid. You sounded honest. Carrie, grow up. There it was. The contempt. You have no ambition. You're predictable. You never understand what I actually need. I slung the backpack over my shoulder. Then this should be a relief. He stared at me. Where are you even going to go? I'll figure it out. You barely have friends. You don't do anything. You're boring. I opened the apartment door. Maybe. Then I looked back at him, but I'd rather be boring alone than disrespected in my own home. I left. No screaming. No slammed doors. No final speech. Just gone. I spent the first few nights in a cheap hotel. Then I found a short-term one-bedroom rental about 40 minutes away. Old kitchen, creaking floors, thin walls. I loved it immediately. It was quiet. Mine. I called the landlord from our old place and forfeited my share of the deposit. Then, I disconnected every shared account I could find. Streaming, utilities, phone plans, passwords. Anything Caleb could use to stay attached to me. Then I blocked him. For the first week, nothing happened. I think he assumed I would come back. I had always come back emotionally before. I always softened first. Always explained. Always tried to repair. A week later, a message came from an unfamiliar number. Carrie, this is childish. We need to talk. Blocked. 2 days later, another number. I didn't cheat. You're making things up in your head. At least act like an adult. Blocked. Then came sweetness. I miss you. Then guilt. After everything we built, you can really disappear like this? Then sarcasm. Hope your exciting new life is going well. I answered none of it. Silence was the only boundary he couldn't argue with. So I kept it. I started going to the gym 3 times a week. Not because I wanted some revenge transformation. I just needed somewhere to put the energy I used to spend worrying about Caleb. I took extra freelance work, reconnected with my brother, started sleeping through the night. I stopped trying to solve problems that belonged to other people. Some mornings were still difficult. I would wake up and instinctively reach for my phone, expecting a message from him. Sometimes I made coffee and nearly reached for the second mug. Those habits were harder to break than the relationship. Grief is strange that way. You don't only miss the person, you miss routines, expectations, the future you thought you were building. But slowly, I started remembering things differently. The nights Caleb came home smelling like perfume he said belonged to everyone at the bar. The times he asked me to cover rent because he had forgotten to budget, while new clothes appeared in his Instagram stories. The dozens of photos I took of him that made his life look perfect while I was carefully cropped out. 3 months after I left, an old friend sent me a screenshot. Caleb's Instagram story. A blurry drink. A caption about never trusting people who pretend to care. Then another message. Thought you should know. He and Erin are done. She's seeing someone else. I stared at it for a moment, then archived the conversation. I wasn't surprised. Erin had never been the real problem. The real problem was that Caleb believed he could keep one woman for excitement and another for security. He thought I would always remain plugged in, waiting to power his life when everything else failed. Instead, I had quietly pulled the cord. And for the first time, he was discovering what happened when the backup plan stopped answering. After 3 months of silence, I thought Caleb had finally accepted that I was gone. Then, the messages from mutual friends started. Not his closest circle. Those people had mostly disappeared after the breakup. These were acquaintances who had known both of us. People from birthdays, barbecues, networking events. One message said, "Hey, weird question. Is Caleb okay? His posts have been kind of messy lately." Another came 2 days later. "Not sure if you heard, but Erin dumped him. Apparently, she was seeing 2 other guys the whole time." I read it once, then deleted it. A week later, someone mentioned that Caleb had been written up at work. His performance had slipped, he had been missing deadlines, and there were rumors he might be pushed out. I didn't ask questions. I didn't need details. For years, I had been the quiet structure underneath his life. Now that structure was gone. Then an email appeared from an address I didn't recognize. Subject: "Please read this." It was Caleb. The email was long, scattered, emotional. He wrote that he had gotten caught up chasing stupid things, that I had always made him feel safe, that he hadn't understood how rare my calmness was until I disappeared. Then came the line I expected. Erin was never serious about me. I thought I was choosing excitement, but she treated me like an option. I was wrong. I stared at those words. He didn't miss me first. He missed what I provided after someone else stopped providing excitement. At the bottom, he wrote, "Can we please talk?" I deleted the email. The next day, another unknown number texted me. "Carrie, please. Just 5 minutes. I need closure." Blocked. 2 weeks later, another. "So that's it? You erased 3 years like they meant nothing?" No answer. Then the voicemails started. The first sounded exhausted. "I know I hurt you. I don't expect forgiveness. I just don't want you to hate me." 2 days later, the tone changed. "You're being unbelievably cold. I thought you were supposed to be the good person." That sentence almost made me laugh. Apparently, being good still meant being available whenever Caleb needed emotional relief. The third voicemail removed any doubt. His voice was furious. "You're a coward. Ignoring me doesn't make you better than me. You were boring, Carrie. I settled for safe, and now you're acting like you're above everyone." I deleted it before he finished. That was the moment I knew his apologies had never been about accountability. He regretted losing access, not hurting me. Then his mother called. I recognized the number immediately. I let it go to voicemail. "Carrie, I know this is awkward. Caleb isn't doing well. I'm not trying to pressure you, but he talks about you constantly. He knows he made mistakes. Could you maybe speak to him once?" I didn't call back. A few days later, Lexi texted. The same Lexi who had laughed while Caleb called me his emotional support dog. "Hey, Carrie. I know we weren't close. Caleb's in a rough place. I think he finally understands how good you were to him. Honestly, we all do now. For 1 second, I wanted to reply. Now you understand? Instead, I blocked her. That opened the floodgates. An old coworker of Caleb's messaged me. You don't know me well, but Caleb talks about you like you're the one who got away. He seems different now. Quieter. Maybe he finally grew up. Maybe. But growth doesn't create an obligation for the person you hurt to come back and inspect it. Caleb started creating new social media accounts whenever I blocked the old ones. Caleb knew. See Rivers too. Fresh Start Caleb. Every account posted vague quotes. Sometimes you destroy the person you needed most. Right person, wrong timing. Some mistakes cost everything. He was performing regret for an audience. Then, one Saturday evening, my apartment buzzer went off. I checked the camera. Caleb. Hoodie. No styled hair. No confident smile. He looked tired. Smaller somehow. He buzzed again. And again. I stayed silent. Eventually, he left. Later, I found a handwritten letter pushed underneath my door. The handwriting was messy. Some words were smeared. You always saw good in me when I couldn't see it myself. I thought Erin made me feel alive. She made me feel disposable. I know I don't deserve another chance, but I'd give anything just to sit in the same room with you again. I folded it, put it inside a drawer, and never answered. 3 days later, the final voicemail came. His voice was raw. I was there for you when you were awkward and quiet. I introduced you to people. I made you more interesting. And now, you act like you never knew me? Then his tone sharpened. You think you're better than me now? You were never better, Carrie. You were just safe. Click. I sat there holding my phone. Strangely, I felt nothing. Because that last sentence gave me something every apology before it hadn't. The truth. He had never valued my loyalty as love. He valued it as insurance. And now, the policy had permanently expired. A year passed before I saw Caleb again. By then, my life looked nothing like the one I had left behind. I had moved into a better apartment. Work was going well. I had stopped measuring my days by whether someone had texted me back, or whether I had said the wrong thing, or whether Caleb was angry, bored, distant, or disappointed. And I was dating someone. His name was Daniel. He was a nurse. Calm. Kind. Emotionally steady in a way I once would have mistaken for boring because I had spent so long confusing instability with passion. Daniel didn't play games. If something bothered him, he said it. If he cared, he showed it. There was no guessing. No phone turned face down. No disappearing until 2 a.m. and then accusing me of insecurity for noticing. We had been together several months when a mutual friend invited us to an engagement party. I almost didn't go. Too many overlapping social circles. Too many old faces. Daniel nudged me gently. You don't have to hide from places just because someone from your past might be there. I'm not hiding. He smiled. Then come dance with me and prove it. So I went. The venue was crowded but elegant. Warm lights, champagne glasses, music loud enough to blur conversations without swallowing them. We had barely been inside 5 minutes when I saw Caleb. He was standing near the drinks table holding something bright red in a glass. For a second, I felt the old tightening in my chest. Then it passed. He saw me. His eyes widened. Not dramatically. Just enough. Then his gaze dropped to Daniel standing beside me. Caleb's smile appeared instantly. The same polished smile I used to mistake for confidence. Carrie. Hey. He looked me over. Wow. You look different. I nodded. So do you. Daniel slipped his hand into mine naturally. Caleb noticed. Of course he did. This is Daniel, I said. They exchanged polite greetings. Caleb looked back at me. So, how have you been? Good. I smiled. Really good. Something in his face tightened. You look happy. I am. There was an awkward pause. Then Caleb laughed softly. Remember when we used to talk about getting married? I looked at him. Yeah. Crazy, right? For a moment, I saw exactly what he was doing. Nostalgia, testing the door, seeing if anything remained unlocked. I smiled. I remember something else too. His expression shifted. What? I remember you telling your friends you didn't need to choose between me and Aaron. The color left his face slightly. Carrie, you said you could have her and keep me around for security. Come on. He glanced toward Daniel. I was drunk. I was stupid. You meant it. His jaw tightened. I was going through something. That may be true. He looked hopeful for half a second. Then I continued. But it doesn't change what you did. Caleb lowered his voice. Can we talk somewhere private? No. Just 5 minutes. There's nothing left to explain. He stared at me. You seriously never want to start over? I shook my head. There's nothing to start. His eyes watered, though whether from sadness or frustration, I couldn't tell. You really hate me that much? I don't hate you. That surprised him. I forgave you a long time ago. Then why? Because forgiveness doesn't mean access. He went quiet. I could hear the music behind us. People laughing, glasses clinking. A life continuing without waiting for either of us. The version of me you knew, I said. The woman who waited around for scraps, ignored her instincts, let your friends disrespect her, and kept giving while you stopped caring. She doesn't exist anymore. Caleb swallowed. You think you're better than me now? No. I looked at him calmly. I finally think I deserve better than how you treated me. He glanced at Daniel again. So that's it? That's it. You'll never give me another chance? It's not about chances anymore. I stepped back. It's about peace. He stared at me. And you have that? Yes. Then I asked the question quietly. Do you? He didn't answer. I turned away. Daniel was waiting near the edge of the dance floor. He wrapped an arm around my waist. You okay? Yeah. And I meant it. We started dancing. Nothing dramatic. Just laughing badly through a slow song neither of us knew. I looked back once. Caleb was still standing alone beside the drinks table. For years, I had been the one left waiting while he chased something louder. Something more exciting. Something he thought was better. Now I understood the irony. He had believed I would always be there when everything else failed. But I wasn't. I had moved on. Not to punish him. Not to prove anything. Just because one day I finally believed what he had told me. He wanted someone else and expected to keep me around for security, so I gave him exactly what he had chosen. A life without me in it. And I gave myself something better. Peace myself something better. Peace.